John, you were involved in the capture of Abu Zubaydah?
I was.
And tell me about that, how it happened.
It was quite a long process. We had information that Abu Zubaydah was somewhere in Pakistan, in either Faisalabad or Lahore, and we undertook a weeks-long, month-long investigation. We were able to narrow his location down to more than a dozen possibilities, and working with the Pakistani government and with the FBI, we raided each one of those sites and found him in one of the houses.
And how were you able to focus in on where he was?
It was very difficult, but it was really a combination of things. It was a wide variety of sources reporting on possibilities of where either he might be located or where others might be located who would know of his whereabouts. We decided not to take the chance and just hit one or two sites, fearing that word would get back to him and he'd have a chance to run off and go deeper underground. So we elected to hit all the sites at the same time, at the same night, and we're lucky enough that he was in one of them.
And how many people did that involve? A big operation, right?
Yeah, just on the American side, it was about 3 dozen people. There were a lot of heroes that night. People worked hard and worked closely together, and it worked.
And why were you focused on him?
We were told at the time, well, we had a lot of information on Abu Zubaydah going back into the 90s. He was one of the financiers of the September 11th attacks. He was a logistics chief of Al-Qaeda, and we knew that he was close to bin Laden, although not co-located, obviously. We knew at the time that he had a line to bin Laden, and we thought that if we could capture him, it would deal a significant blow to the Al-Qaeda leadership.
And he was in Pakistan?
He was in Faisalabad, Pakistan, correct.
And how long had he been there?
We're not sure. It seemed to us, he admitted to having been there a week. We thought he was probably there more like 2 or 3 weeks.
And when was this?
This was in March of 2002.
So you'd been looking for him since September 11th, essentially? Or?
We had indeed.
And when the catch was made, when you caught up with him, he hit the right place, what happened there? Did he resist?
He resisted. There was a shootout. The Pakistanis were the first inside the door, and he stabbed a Pakistani policeman in the neck. We feared at the time that he had died. Things were happening so quickly, it was confusing, and the Pakistani authorities told us initially that the man had died. He turned out to just have been wounded. But then Abu Zubaydah went up to the roof of his house and tried to jump to the roof of the neighboring house. He exchanged in a gun battle with the Pakistani police down below, and he was shot 3 times and then dropped from the roof of the house onto the ground. He was almost killed. And later that night, one of the doctors, the Pakistani doctors who was treating him, told me that he had never seen wounds so severe where the patient had lived.
And what happened to him after you caught up with him?
Well, we took him to a hospital for emergency treatment. The hospital in Faisalabad was just a terrible place. So we evacuated him to a military hospital in Lahore, and the director of Central Intelligence, George Tenet, immediately got on the phone to Johns Hopkins University and asked if they could send a trauma surgeon to Pakistan. So that trauma surgeon got on a plane, a private plane, flew directly to the base, and I guess it was about 24 hours after the shooting, he was able to begin treating Abu Zubaydah.
And what was the nature of his wounds?
He was shot in the thigh, the groin, and the stomach with an AK-47.
And barely survived.
Barely survived. One of the things that sticks in my mind from those days and nights was how much blood he lost. There was blood everywhere. It was all over him. It was all over the bed. It pooled underneath the bed. It was all over us every time we had to move him. It was really an incredible amount of blood that he lost.